Hey everybody, gwyned here, bringing you another standard Pauper Deck-Tech. This time I am playing my own America's End, which is a version of Star Spangled Beats, and it's a list that I played at MPDC Season 10 Worlds and took to second place. As I mentioned, this time rather than recording live, I'm actually doing this retrospectively, so I'll be going back through this particular match. I thought it was a particularly interesting one, a mirror match, so I hope you enjoy it. So here we go. So start off here. I did win the dice roll, and I am going to choose to play first. Here's my opener. I feel like with this deck I get a lot of these. A two-land opener. I really need to draw the third, which really in some ways makes possibly choosing to draw rather than play would be slightly better. But in this case, not knowing what my opponent was, I feel like my default in Pauper is just go ahead and play first. Don't know if that's right or not, but anyway, this was a keep, so I went ahead and kept this and played. Run out the mountain just so I can use the lightning bolt should the need come arise. Go ahead and play out the second land. He pops a Terramorphic. No big surprises here. Now at this point I was actually a little surprised to see my opponent play a Spreading Seas. This wasn't something I saw a lot of during the tournament, and frankly, considering the number of people that are running islands, it's an interesting choice. It's actually the only one I saw the entire day, is this one right here, but I certainly was surprised to see it. Obviously, given what I had in my hand, that wasn't a complete loss. Was very happy to draw that Kabira, though, because that then allows me to go ahead and play it, and then next turn be able to run out the core Skyfisher and bounce the mountain back into my hand and annul his Spreading Seas. So that was a good draw there. He goes ahead and finds a Lone Missionary. At this point, I was wondering, exactly what is he playing? Is he running is this truly a mirror match, or is this some kind of blue-white control? Wasn't exactly sure, but obviously with him tapped out, there would be no reason not to play the core Skyfisher, which is what I end up doing. Was real glad to see a second one when I drew it. I see people do this a lot. You're right in the middle of a play, you put something on the stack, and then they pop a Terramorphic. I don't really understand that. I don't know if it's just so they don't forget, and then they can F6 their way through. But in any case, I personally find it kind of annoying. Anyway, go ahead and put the Skyfisher down. Now, normally I actually don't like a turn 2 or turn 3 core Skyfisher and then just bouncing a land back into your hand. I think the tempo loss is pretty significant. But in this case, obviously, I'm not simply putting myself back in tempo. I am actually annulling one of his plays. So that's, to me, makes it worth it. And certainly the ability then to replay the mountain and have access to red is going to be pretty important. So I do that, and we're off. My opponent finds yet another Terramorphic as well as a Seagate Oracle, and otherwise passes the turn. My turn, draw another land, go ahead and swing in with Skyfisher here. And here, lots of different ways I could go, but there's really no reason not to just go ahead and run out the Oracle, so that's what I end up doing. And went ahead and saw what I got, and it was a Foresee or a Prophetic Prism. Both obviously would give me some land choices, but Foresee is such a better choice that is indeed what I end up taking. And then pass the turn with leaving a red up for Lightning Bolt. Opponent finds the Skyfisher. Now here, I went ahead and made the choice to go ahead and get rid of the Seagate Oracle. Obviously, he was going to be able to bounce something one way or another, but if my opponent's going to return something to his hand, I'd rather him gain the 4 life than gain the extra card draw with the Seagate Oracle. So that's why I went ahead and destroyed it there. So he does, in fact, bounce and return the Lone Missionary into hand. No big surprises. So now we've each got a core Skyfisher out in play, which, in this match is really important, the ability to use your land. Ran out another Seagate Oracle here. Defense is good here. Pretty simple choice. Go ahead and take the burn. One of the things that makes this deck so powerful is the fact that you have access to so much burn, and it allows you to press through, gives your deck the reach you need, get rid of creatures. There's a lot of different things you can do with it, so it's really important to find those when you need them, and a lot of different ways you can go once you've got that in your hand. So I swing in here with the core Skyfisher. Obviously the plan is if he blocks, I can go ahead and take out his core Skyfisher with the Burst Lightning. Having 2 in hand, I don't really feel like that's a waste, and the opportunity of clearing it out really is, again, pretty important. If you can clear the air, you can really begin to swing in for some pretty significant damage, particularly if you can find the Squadron Hawks. Now, as in this case, my opponent actually does the exact same thing. We both go ahead and destroy each other's flyers. He goes ahead and, no, I'm sorry, I go ahead and pop yet another of, I guess, my first Evolving Wilds and pass the turn back. He finds yet another Seagate Oracle, finds yet another Terramorphic, and now see here he finds the Squadron Hawk. Again, Squadron Hawk is another important part. I feel like particularly in a mirror match, the ability to control the air and get as much damage in through the air as possible is really important. You don't really have a lot of good opportunities to get damage in through the ground. There's just too many blockers. Seagate Oracle in particular is just a really powerful blocker on the ground. But Squadron Hawk and Core Skyfish are both really good cards for pressing through damage, and was of course the reason, at least the Squadron Hawk was the reason that I included the Vythian Singer, included 2 of these in the main deck, because it's such a great way of getting rid of Squadron Hawk. And really, other than using, wasting a Burst Lightning or a Lightning Bolt on them, if you're not playing black, there's not a lot of other good ways of getting rid of them that are efficient. So he goes ahead and finds one. Obviously goes ahead and retrieves the rest from his deck, and yeah, moves on, goes on from there. So in response, I go ahead and draw a mountain. Consider my plays here. Lots of different things I could do. Go ahead and play the Stinger and begin to tack away at his Squadron Hawks. But really here, the most, I feel like the best thing that you could do would, no, actually that is what I go ahead and do. I'm sorry. He goes ahead, I go ahead and play out the Stinger and the Core Skyfisher. Go ahead and waiting on that 4C. And I'm not actually sure looking back that that's the right play. Foreseeing there might have been a slightly better play so that I would be able to see exactly what I got. On the other hand, the ability to begin to, break down his Squadron Hawks could be really important, assuming that he doesn't have some way of dealing with the Stinger, which, he in fact does. Again, Stagger Shocks it away. No big surprise there. I go ahead and find a Squadron Hawk of my own, which is great. I can go ahead and fill my hand with those Squadron Hawks, and then can be able to proceed, attack with the Core Skyfisher, pass the turn back. I go ahead and run out both Squadron Hawks here. Now, obviously, I know that he has a Stagger Shock that's going to be coming back, but really, it's like, I don't know, I don't feel like this is that big a deal. He's already, he's going to get the 2-for-1 off of it anyway. I could wait there, but I really didn't have a whole lot else I could do with my mana, so, maybe that was a mistake. Maybe it would have been better to wait and go ahead and run out the Oracle instead rather than pushing him with the Squadron Hawks, but that is the way that I went ahead and made that play in that spot. So he goes ahead. Now here I would have expected him to go ahead and take out one of the Squadron Hawks. Instead, he goes ahead and hits the Core Skyfisher, which of course immediately tells you that he's got another play, which doesn't seem that great at first, because it seems like he's going, he's going to, not quite a 2-for-1, but almost, since he's wasting that second Stagger Shock. But in fact, what actually happens is he uses the second Stagger Shock, which is interesting. It kind of ends up making Stagger Shock like a 3-for-2, which, while good, is not as good as a 2-for-1. So it's kind of an interesting decision on his part. And now he's just continuing to pump out those Squadron Hawks, and we're gonna continue to mirror each other in a lot of ways. Here I go ahead and swing in with the Squadron Hawks. I feel like he has to block. And I feel like I've got control of that air pretty well. Go ahead and get those out of the way, and I'm going to be able to take out anything I need to. He doesn't block here, and I go ahead and run out the Seagate Oracle here. And in doing so, obviously, pretty easy choice. The life gain from Lone Missionary is going to be more important than anything I could get from Evolving Wilds. And as you can see, these games go long because you just end up with so much life between the Kabira Crossroads and the Lone Missionaries and bouncing them back and forth. You just have a lot of life. So here he goes on and takes out one of the Squadron Hawks, finds another Core Skyfisher, just such an important part of the game here. Yet another Seagate Oracle. He's had pretty good luck finding those. Swings in with the Squadron Hawks. I block and take out one of them, and then we go on. So